Howdy, y'all. Thanks for stopping by again. Interesting weekend of racing. I didn't get to catch the F1 portion of it, but the rest I was there for the truck race and the IndyCar races, and then I got to watch most of the Cup race at Pocono, and all three of those events had some interesting finishes, and the F1 race had a interesting finish as well with the crazy wreck at the end. I'm not about to start talking about it because I've only seen like a couple of replays of it and saw the name of who won, so I could try to pretend that I know what happened, but that would be quite false of me to do. But I was there for the truck race, which was it wasn't the most exciting excuse me. This is very easy for me to say. It was not the most exciting thing from an entertainment aspect, but it was a much better race than what they had put on the last couple of weeks. And that's not even because Kyle Busch wasn't there. That's because they could actually go about 5 laps without wrecking, which was very, very nice. Of course, they went a lot of laps without wrecking this time. Matt Crafton ended up dominating the thing by whoa, easy there, me, easy there. But yeah, Crafton ended up dominating the deal, and it all came down to fuel mileage, which was really weird because Crafton ended up hanging on, and it looked like he was gonna. I don't know what happened, actually happened, because I haven't got to see any of the telecast of it. But it looked to me that he either like the fuel, he had like a burp in the engine, or that he was gonna stop to go down pit road and he missed. And from that point on, that was like with 5 or 6 laps left. And from that point on, he was like, well, I guess I'll just see if I can make it. And he ended up making it all the way and won the race because of it, because a couple of other guys had gambled on fuel. I know, I can't remember who all. I'm not as privy to my memory is not betraying me right now, but I know Joe Nemechek was one of them in third, and then I can't remember who finished second. I'm trying like heck to remember. Sorry there, Kyle. But yeah, that was a very interesting deal, because it doesn't feel very fuel mileagey when the guy who dominates the race ends up winning it anyway. But that's what happened, and it's real weird that Matt Crafton, as good as he's been the last few years, that he's been in the Truck Series so long, and he has so few wins, and this is the first time in his career that he's ever won multiple races in a season. Like, that doesn't register. And also interesting, if I'm not mistaken, if I remember correctly, Toyotas have won all 6 races in the Truck Series this year. So there's that, with Kyle Busch winning 4 and Crafton winning 2. So 2 drivers have combined to win every race in the trucks. But then there's the IndyCar race, which was very it was a lot like the other 2 races I watched this weekend. Long green flag racing, which is not a bad thing. It's just, that's what turns it into a niche sport sometimes, because casual fans start to zone out at that point. But and I was having radio problems with the scanner picking up the radio feed. But that's a small gripe. But Will Power and Ed Carpenter dominated the thing, mostly Will Power. And those 2 are in a league of their own. They could not be touched by anyone else. Once Will Power screwed up and sped on pit road, Ed Carpenter was just way out front. I wanted to think of some funnier, more clever way to say that, but he was just gone. I mean, there was no one going to touch him. Before the yellow flag came out, for that final caution, Juan Pablo Montoya was 16 seconds behind him and like 10 seconds away from getting lapped. It was very ridiculous, the lead that that Carpenter had on the field, and he was able to hold on even though power came on like a son of a gun there at the end. I mean, he was flying on that final restart. He moved up from like 6th to 2nd, I guess is what it was, in 3 laps, however many it was. And I saw a picture on Twitter that like his car was smoking. His rear tires were just done after 3 laps, sorry, of hard racing. That's how hard he was driving it. But and then there was the Cup race, which again, very normal affair, very just a very Pocono-ish race, which I like the races at Pocono. I've always kind of enjoyed that track. I always thought that track was kind of cool, and the racing there was different. But I am glad they shortened it to 400 miles, because yesterday probably would have started to feel like a marathon, or not Sunday would have started to feel like a marathon. But very interesting finish. Brad Keselowski dominated the deal, and then kind of got, stuck partially in the top 5. He was always in the top 5, but he kind of got caught back in traffic and wasn't able to just drive away or drive up through the field. And Tony Stewart had the lead for a while, and then he got a penalty, and that ended up giving Keselowski the lead back. And then we had a couple of cautions there at the end. Danica hit the wall, and then Kyle Busch put Casey Kane into the wall, which then collected Carl Edwards, and Casey hit hard. That 5 car was toast. That was a pretty scary deal. He hit not once but twice. I mean, and that's never. I mean, the TNT guys pretty well described it, that second hit is no joke. I'm glad he's okay. But that set up an interesting finish there with all the strategy that had been attempted, and kind of sort of went out the window there at the end, because that final caution gave them all a run to the finish. But it was that whole last little bit was weird, because they were like the 2 in the 88 were able to just jump out front ahead of everybody. Kurt Busch put up a good fight there at the end, and now it's about time he got a good finish outside of the 2 top 5s he's had already this year. But I was like looking at his stat line, and it's just stupid. He has the win, and he has like another top 5 finish, and then everything else is like 20th or worse. I mean, it's silly, and a lot of it's not been his fault. I mean, it's been a lot of like team error, car braking on him, that kind of stuff, which has kind of been the story of the year for SHR. But that got Kevin Harvick too. But he ended up finishing 3rd this week, which is where he deserved to finish, up there at the front. So that was a good deal for them. That they're not going to end up finishing worse than 30th in points, but that definitely helps them a lot in that aspect. And they need to get back up there just in case the stupidity happens and a bunch of different drivers end up winning races. But anyways, back to the battle between Keselowski and Earnhardt, because they both picked up trash on their grills. Keselowski's was a lot bigger and a lot more in the middle and a lot more on the opening, and so his car starts running hot, and so he starts trying to figure out ways to get it off, and he and that 2 team is always very contrarian in the way they think and the way they enact strategies and that sort of things. And sometimes they look like geniuses, and on other times they look like total dunces when they try to get cute like that. And in hindsight, he probably would have been able to make it, because I mean, once he lost the lead, he's running there in dirty air with less air on his car, and he's pushing it just as hard as he was out front, and he made it to the finish. So I mean, he probably would have been fine had he not tried to get the air off his car. But he did try to get the air off his car, and it looked like a lot of people said, I don't know, no one's really described what happened there real well. I mean, some people just say Danica got loose or ran out of talent, depending on how much you dislike her. But looked like she was just trying to get out of the way. It looked like her spotter said leader coming, and she kind of moved up the track. And if the two would have kept on his normal pace, he probably would have gotten her before exiting the corner, the way she kind of moved out of the groove and seemed to slow down. But Keselowski was trying to use her to get the air off his front end so he could lose the piece of debris. And he ended up losing a lot of time because she was going way slower, and just like I'm losing all the time by wrecking. And it's apparently a madhouse behind me. But okay, and there goes Jeff. But that ended up being a bit of a mistake, and the car is going around, and I don't know why. But yeah, that was I just ran out of talent there and got real loose. But he ended up getting behind her and screwing up, and that allowed the 88 to go by and allowed him to actually steal a race. As many weird ways as he's won or lost races, running out of fuel, just guys with better tires benefiting from cautions and passing him, just different things that have happened over the last couple of years when he's finished second like 80 times. He's actually able to steal one that he had no business winning. So that was a very interesting deal, and that officially locks him into the chase. Again, if you have a win, you're going to make the chase this year. It's not going to hit 16, but there is no mathematical way you could miss the chase and win 2 races. Unless, of course, you just tank and finish outside the top 30 in points. But I don't think that's going to happen to any of the teams that have won twice this year. So, but anyways, that's it, I believe, for this week. I can't really think of anything else on my mind. Nope, nothing. Of course, there's not a whole lot in my mind anyway, so some people might argue. But all right, it's Michigan weekend. Michigan, nice and fast and quick, and a lot of the same guys that were fast at Pocono are probably going to be fast again at Michigan. That'll be fun to watch. I will catch you on the flip side. J-Mac out.